start recording. Sorry. We'll do a brief intro. All righty. So we are officially recording. Hi, my name is Dave Perlman, and with us is
Heather Cox.
Heather Cox, and Stephanie Stevens is out there as well. Today we're going to have our hi, Stephanie, our friends from Onslow. I probably say that wrong, but Stephen Taylor and one of our peers, Neve Abramoff. So maybe you want to do a brief intro, and we'll go from there. Neve?
Yeah, hi everyone. Neve Abramov on the Modern Work team alongside David and Heather. Here just with our great partners at Onslow County Public Schools. They're based here in North Carolina on the coast and have been invested in the Microsoft journey for as long as I've been with the education team for many years now, and continue to just inspire using Office 365 in creative ways in the classroom. And so I had basically begged our friend Stephen here to present on the great things they're doing. And Stephen, if you could just share some of those great things, we always appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Well, feel free to turn on your video as well. Steve, feel free to turn on your video. We love seeing you talk. I'm going to turn mine off.
I should have it on, I believe, I hope.
Okay. There you go.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. Neve does not have to beg. All he has to do is ask, and I am always happy to talk about the Onslow story. We are incredibly thrilled to have Microsoft as a partner, and it has been a long and extremely productive relationship. Just to get, we like to call things the Onslow way in our county, and that's an idea of how we work through this digital transformation, and it has been a key part to what we've been doing for the past several years. So I'll show you a little picture who we are and how we got here. You'll recognize Neve there. He's dressed very nicely. And this is my whole team. This is a group of digital learning and teaching facilitators. Our school system is 38 sites, about 27,000 kids, about 2,000 teachers. We are located on the coast of North Carolina, and within our county borders resides the largest Marine Corps base on the East Coast of the United States, 60,000 Marines who we service. Probably 40% of our students are Marine Corps dependents. So we have a transient population somewhat, but it is a really good group of folks. Not a whole lot of other industry, so we actually do struggle a little bit with our free and reduced lunch, which would give you an idea of our socioeconomic situation. Possibly, I think our latest numbers were 55% free and reduced. So a lot of our schools are what would be considered Title I schools. Just means a little lower on the socioeconomic ladder. Doesn't mean they're not wonderful, fantastic kids, and we want to do everything for them. But that is part of that discussion is what started, almost 8 years ago now, our one-to-one program. The administration at the time thought that was an incredibly important goal for our county, recognized what digital transformation needed to look like. And so we began at the beginning, which is the right way to do and not always the way it happens. And we got computers out to teachers. First off, we rolled computers out to all of the teachers. And then we began to go through slowly and integrate interactive whiteboards, that kind of stuff, into the classroom, and then began a series of pilot programs for one-to-one. And then over the course of 4 years, from 2013 to 2017, we rolled out one-to-one to every grade level 3 through 12. So all of our students receive Dell laptops at the beginning of the year, and they check them back in at the end of the year. They're for them to take home, them to use and have with them at all times. And we have a fantastic technical support team, 25 techs who support all those devices at schools, fix all of those devices. They're re-imaged every summer. So, I mean, we go through 25,000 devices every summer. So it is a heck of a crew. They do an awful lot of work. But the group you see in front of you are my digital learning and teaching facilitators. And they are the folks who, in my eyes, really make what we do tick. They are 20 teachers who have their master's in instructional technology. Each one of them basically has two schools, supports two schools, and they have this group is what's made everything we've done possible. About 5 years ago now, when we started to implement this program, as we first began to implement the program into the classrooms, we moved to, in fact, our second year in, we moved to Microsoft. We made the conscious decision to go between Google and Microsoft. We'd already been a Microsoft district, but of course, Google EDU kind of dominates around. But we looked at it and loved Microsoft, the professional level of the way you could do things in Microsoft, just the email, the cloud storage, those kind of things, and we really saw them moving in the right direction. We also went to something called, and I just love to talk about it, I went to a little presentation in ISTE by some guy in a purple cape, and it was us and maybe, there were really about 15 other people in there, and we saw this most ingenious thing called OneNote, and we absolutely fell in love, and we came back and said, yep, we're going in this direction. We love it. These are digital notebooks. This is the way we're going to start digitizing everything. And we took off with OneNote. Mike Pelson was just amazing, really sold us, really I loved the idea, the energy, everything. And we pushed that throughout those schools, and a lot of our high school and middle schools really started using OneNote class notebooks as the way to run their classrooms. We were using Edmodo as an LMS, just a good entry level, extremely easy at the time, just getting into one-to-one, said it looked a lot like Facebook. We knew the teachers were on that, so we could get that to work, and we started to make that happen. And then about a year after we had started that Microsoft transition, they had a thing called Microsoft Classroom. We started piloting that in about 50 classrooms, and we made a decision between, our state does Canvas quite a bit. We also, of course, we weren't interested in the Google part, but we had looked at Schoology and we said, okay, which direction do we want to go? And all the principals sat down. We said, here's what each one of them does, but we're already moving into this Microsoft infrastructure. Let's really look hard at Microsoft Classroom. The feedback had been great from the teachers. We kind of, the team agreed, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to go the Microsoft Classroom direction. We had it all planned for all. At that time, it was about 14,000 kids, because we hadn't distributed it to all our grade levels yet, to go for Microsoft Classroom the next year. We're real serious about all kind of keeping on the same page. And wouldn't you know it, in July of that summer, they told me, yeah, there's not going to be a Microsoft Classroom. Welcome, Teams. I said, okay. And we said, we'll go with that adventure. And we haven't looked back since. We were extremely, so Neve will tell you, and he's right, we were extremely early adopter. The first year, we were the world's largest Teams EDU user. We were, at one time, we were the number 15 largest Teams user in the world. A lot of big districts have come on since and passed us, but we've still been there for a while, which I appreciate. We just went through a series of trying to get that rolled out to the classrooms. We did a one-year soft transition from Edmodo to Teams, but by October, we had about 75% of our folks into Teams, and we just kept going with Teams right on from there. And that is those facilitators worked with teachers, lots of professional development, lots of co-teaching, lots of in-class modeling, lots of getting staff to commit with Teams. We got committed with Teams. We stopped taking email from people and started only dealing with Teams within our group. And we really started to build that momentum through the schools. So by the time March 13th of 2020 rolled around, we had about, I would say we had our devices from grades 3 to 12, and about, we figured on a daily basis, or at least a weekly basis, about 75% of our teachers using that. The other teachers just really hadn't made that digital transformation. And so a week or two before March 13th, we kind of had it, we got in the wind that there was possibly going to be something happening. I called all the facilitators together and said, look, you basically got a week. Get out there and get working, and make sure that bottom 30% can at least get on, knows some general things, and the rest of everybody needs to know how to do Teams call, because we had done some Teams calling, but not a ton. And then, of course, we had March 13th, and it was ready, set, remote. So on that, March 13th was a Friday. They said, you're not coming back to school the next week. Monday was a teacher work day. We lost one instructional day, which was March 17th. And March 18th, we were teaching across the county, grades 3 through 12 in teams. And it was unbelievable. I will be honest with you, the night of March 17th, I think that's the date I remember the most, I didn't sleep at all. I was extremely concerned with what would happen the next day. You know, we knew people know how to use Teams, but all the kids were at home. Would this actually work? But I started that morning, I started getting messages rolling in from my DLTs. And I'll be honest with you, they sent me some videos and different things. And by that evening, I sat on my couch and I had tears in my eyes thinking that this thing actually worked and our kids were going to keep learning. And we lost one day and we're back up and running. Did kids struggle? Yes. Did schools struggle? Yes. A lot of it depended, had they been using Teams before, like we had been so committed to? If they were, they made the transition and really ran. If they didn't, now you have two learning curves, Teams and remote learning. That was a struggle. My facilitators for the next month, I don't think they slept. They were on calls, Teams calls, because that's how we supported everything. They were on Teams calls from 6, 7 in the morning till 10, 11 at night, always backing up those teachers, being there for them every single day. It was stressful, but invigorating at the same time. We were just blown away by what happened. And I just wanted to take a minute and just show you a little bit of what the perspective was from the kids who worked in this, kind of what they thought. So towards the end, we did some surveys. We sent them out. And there you go. Thank you for being nice to me. This was the student direct. We got about 7,400 kids to respond. And you'll see it goes across multiple levels, elementary, middle, and high school. Remember, K1 and 2 were more packets. We didn't even have devices for them at that time. We have fixed that since we do have devices, but they didn't do tons of it. It was mostly 3rd through 12th grade. But I wanted to show you something that I was really impressed with. If you look at this, how easy was it to communicate with your teachers during remote learning? Guys, you can look at the chart. It was easy, somewhat easy, in between. This is for 7,400 kids. So you can figure out of about 20,000 kids who were doing this on a day-to-day basis. That one blew me away. That one was amazing. From the staff's perspective, this was also blew me away. So about 2,000 staff. So we had about 1,000 respond. Again, good feedback from elementary, middle, and high school. How easy was it to communicate with your students? Similar overall during the video lessons through Teams. Lots of support, which we were really impressed with. But what was the impact of video sessions with your students? It's the video sessions, it's the connections that are made between the teacher and the student. It's what matters in the classroom. It's what matters here too. And if you don't have the right tools in place to make this happen, remote has not been, it's not a substitute for what's in the classroom. But with the right tools and some of the right training and some of the right ideas, you can absolutely still make that connection, still check on those kids, still make sure things are going okay. Easy to follow, meaningful, engaging. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers. It was really unbelievable. Now, towards the end, in our state, I don't know about in a lot of states, I know this happened, the governors kind of came in and said grades weren't really going to count that much, and it was going to be kind of pass-fail at the end. And we did have some drop-off towards the end, but for a couple months, it was really something to see. I was so proud of our folks, so proud of my folks, so proud of the Microsoft folks who I know things were just going insane and they were working all the time. We could always reach out. They have always been there and extremely supportive through TAP programs, different customer programs, but we've always been able to get on and give them some information and let them know what was going on. Sometimes we found things before they got to it, and we were able to help and fix things, so do some troubleshooting. But they were unbelievably supportive. So then after that, we get to this summer, get remote shut down, and then we start talking about what are we going to do when we come back to school. And this was really the hard one. Remote, we knew what to do. For us, what's considered A was going back regular. Okay, we can do that. But the big challenge was hybrid. And what do we do with hybrid? What does hybrid look like? And let me tell you when I say hybrid, exactly what I mean, because this word's thrown out quite a bit. So hybrid in Onslow County, the Onslow way, we did it in elementary. We're now actually, they are back full-time in elementary. I don't know that they're not completely back full-time, but I don't know how that's going to change as numbers have moved around. But 6th through 12th grade, half the kids come Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is a deep cleaning day, but we still do remote instruction in the morning. And then Thursday and Friday, the other half of the kids come. So we broke them into 2 cohorts. We do have an Onslow virtual school that we stood up in 6 weeks and currently has 20% of our students. So 5,000 kids are in a school that didn't exist 4 weeks before school started. We put that together, and I will tell you what they've told me. They could not do it without teams. It's all run by teams. The staff is all done in teams. And there's just, it was an unbelievable topic for another day. So in our regular brick and mortar schools, we went to the hybrid model. And what we talked about was the fact there was a lot of discussion between us and instruction. Instructions, there was a little bit more of a, do we do videos and give them work the days that they're out, and just instruct them the 2 days they are, and kind of rinse and repeat each week, so you're doing the lessons twice. And the thought was, well, we still have the same responsibilities. We still have to cover the same information. We cannot do it this way. We need to teach 5 days a week. And so we sat down with the group of people you see here and a few more of our folks. We have a few of us that stay. I'm there for 12 months. My coordinator, Jason Lawrence, is there for 12 months. And then I have 5 facilitators who stay for 12 months. And in the summer, we do an awful lot of planning for what's going to happen the next year. And we sat down and we brainstormed and said, okay, here's how we do it. We take the kids who are in class, and we take the teacher and we run a Teams meeting so that the kids in class are seeing the exact same thing the kids at home are seeing. So what we would do is we would share the interactive whiteboard. If you had a projector and a board, if you had a smart board, which we have in a lot of our schools, or just a TV, we would share the screen we were projecting as the shared screen for the kids at home. And then we would have the teacher's laptop act as a second monitor. We do an extend screen, and that would be turned towards the teacher. And then the kids in school would be just in the regular classroom. And you teach for all 5 days a week. The Wednesday's fully remote. Everybody's in the remote setting. But the other days, you're still conducting class all 5 days. And it was that idea of extending the screen, using them as 2 screens, and then a lot of pedagogy that went into how do we get these kids to interact with each other. I'll talk a little bit more about that, making them feel like one classroom. The thought was eventually we might go back. Now we know this is going to be at least this whole year. So we have continued to teach using this method in grades 6 through 12 nonstop. So let me show you. We went out and got around to some classrooms, took a bunch of pictures. I must have visited 30 or 40 different classrooms. Again, you go in, there'd be about 10 kids in there with a teacher spread out. We were doing the social distancing, everybody wearing masks, but the teacher then had the laptop, as you can kind of see here, the laptop and the smartboard. She's teaching from a smartboard just like she normally would. The kids at home are on the laptop and she can see them and interact with them. And the kids in class are just not really on the call. We did tend to do, and especially in the high school or in the middle school too, we'd have 1 or 2 kids that would be on the call and they would help to monitor for questions or monitor the chat. So we didn't bog the teacher down. We took this out before we kind of rolled it out. We did what we called the road show. We had to go to about 16 of our secondary schools, and we really wanted to sell this idea. But the first one we went to, we walked in, we sat down with the principal, about 5 of us, and we just kind of took her through the exact idea. We did some demonstration, showed her asked her what she thought. We really respected her opinion. And she said, "You have just taken an immense weight off my shoulders. I had no idea how we were going to do this." We knew from that minute we had something. We talked with a lot of leadership teams, different teachers. Responses were a lot the same. "Oh my gosh, we can do this." Are there some technical hurdles? Absolutely. Crazy if you don't think there are. But we'll tell you one thing we found. Because you have 10 kids in a class now all wearing masks, you spend a lot less time on discipline. So some of that tech time's a trade-off. So it's been fantastic. I'll show you a few other pictures. This class was a little more crowded. But again, we have the teachers running the class online on the board, and the kids are participating. This was a great one. They will do a lot of teaching on the smart and interactive boards. The kids at home are seeing the exact same thing as the kids at school, and then it becomes basically teacher practice, classroom management as to how you begin to ask questions. And that's the challenge, making sure that you're bouncing back and forth, asking questions to the kids at home to keep them engaged, asking questions to the kids in the classroom. This was a great example where we've got we don't have a lot of surfaces, but in this, we did have one here, and she's casting up to the board, still using it as an extend screen. But in this classroom, we were beginning to work, and now that breakout rooms have come, what we've really started to do is break out the kids into groups where 2 of the kids are in the classroom and then 2 of the kids are at home, and they're working collaboratively as a group, even though they don't actually get to see each other except this way because they're not in school ever together. But you're building that classroom community, that classroom culture through this method. This has also been fantastic. Say we've had a teacher have to go out because she was exposed. She just calls back in and teaches her class through this hybrid model. She's just teaching from her computer at home, and you have a sub in the class just monitoring the class. There are fantastic stories all across the county of maybe kids that need to be in a little bit of a separate setting are still dialing right back into class, even in the same building. But here's and these were cases where the kid's working one-on-one with another kid at home. So the kid's in the class, working with the kid at home. You've engaged the entire class. You're keeping them on that same schedule. That's super important. So they know even when they're home, they've got to get up, they've got a schedule to do. We've employed, for our kids that don't have internet, we've employed MiFi's. It's not as good, but it does work. We've given out close to 800 MiFi's so far. Everybody has devices, and this has just been quite the experience. I was just blown away by what our teachers have done. This was an acting class, and the kids are in together mode, and they're going kind of round robin doing acting lessons, and the kids and they're modeling different things or giving a part of their acting. You can tell I don't do any acting, but giving a part of what their speeches will be, and they'll just go round robin. It's like they're really there, which is what you would want to see in these meetings, but they're doing it as the students and the teachers. They have really stepped up. This was a good example of math. Here we're using an L mode, so a document camera, and we're simply sharing the document, the window of the document camera. The kids are seeing the exact same thing at home as they're seeing whether they're in school. It doesn't matter. That's the whole idea. They don't have to physically be there. That's the idea for you all in business. Why can't we make that work for us in education? It has been remarkable to see this occur. And I'm going to tell you right now, the proof has kind of been in the pudding, and I've only started to see some of the test results. But I do want to share with you this. We have 7 high schools. They just finished their semester in December. The test scores currently, and we don't test as many in the middle part of the year as we do at the end, but the test scores so far on some of the state testing is looking almost identical and better in some cases and a little worse in some cases, don't get me wrong, than what it looked like last year the same time. And last year the same time, kids were in school 5 days a week. This year they're physically in school 2 days a week, 40% of the time, and these kids are working at an instructional pace that they were working at before when they were in school 100% of the time. It is amazing. I can't believe what's going on. I can't wait to see the end of the year because we're going to get the entire year like this. But when I hear everybody talking about how remote is going so poorly, I know there are cases where it certainly is going poorly. And I will say we are extremely spoiled in Onslow County because of the digital learning and teaching facilitators. Those 20 people in those schools, the teachers absolutely make it happen, but it's the support of those DLTs that make it happen. And a lot of school systems don't have that. But I will say this, a lot of them have the money for it and just haven't prioritized the digital transformation. Our county has, and I couldn't be more proud of the group. That's kind of what I was going to share. Like I said, I have been unbelievably amazed with what they've been able to do.
So Stephen, great job to you and the team. Really, amazing. We shared a bit of the case study that is published, but just the fact that a lot of folks were trying to figure this stuff out, right? And different places had different budgets. And in New York State, we had our own challenges, but just really, I see you're using a lot of the equipment that you already had in the rooms, by the way. Yeah, maybe there was some, hubs and some other things, and that's great. But I saw a lot of existing equipment and laptops being used, right? And so there was another young lady from Forsyth County that was also presenting, and I think she was a music teacher, maybe,
Fulton,
or an art.
Music
Fulton
teacher.
County. And so, when I see the innovation and I see the inspiration that, the digital learners and the leaders and the teachers are bringing, just phenomenal, So we have a couple of minutes for questions. Really appreciate you kind of coming on and sharing. I would love to hear at the end of the school year, maybe a little report out on what actually the teaching metrics look like and get some kind of empirical data, if it's something that you're willing to share, and just say, hey, here's what we're going to do different next year. We had one question, Heather, prior to you from Renee. So you're just going to have to wait for a second.
Pause,
No,
Heather.
I thought she said that it was an accidental button push.
Oh, she was an accidental button. I thought I hit the wrong button. So, again, great job. Really love the passion you're bringing and love what you folks are doing. Let's go off. I'm going to go and just end this recording so we can not have any of Heather's silly questions be forever.
Hey, it is a legit
silly
question. It's very